10 things not to do on a video conference call. Meetings used to often be hailed as the number one time waster in the corporate world and the most torturous part of the workday. Then came the pandemic and we did nothing but Zoom calls, Teams meetings, WEBEXs, Google Meet calls. Today we're going to take a look at first in-person meeting etiquette. Next we'll look at video conference etiquette. And lastly, we're going to throw in a few little bonus tips for you as well. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when we post new videos. You don't want to miss any of them, the ones that are coming up, because we have some really good ones in the next few weeks, and you don't want to miss them. I've been a professional coach since 2007, and I've coached hundreds of people. I've helped many of them work through their limiting beliefs that serve to hold them back, and that's really helped them grow in their career and in their leadership abilities. Let's start with in-person meetings. Who among us hasn't cringed as the office windbag launches into self-aggrandizing discourse that's completely off point? Or pitied a meek coworker who got trounced by the office bully? Or marveled at a colleague's ability to string together an array of buzzwords that mean absolutely nothing? Yet, no matter how mind-numbing things get, don't be lulled into thinking that meetings aren't important. The fact is, they can make or break your career. Here are some things you should never do in a meeting of any kind, in person or video conference. Do not show up late. Nothing says I'm disorganized like walking into a meeting already in progress. Arriving a few minutes early not only demonstrates that you respect your colleagues' time, but it guarantees you get a good seat as well. Don't be unprepared. If you've been given an agenda or materials beforehand, read them. Think of any questions you have or contributions you can make to the subjects being discussed. Make notes so that you have your thoughts organized in a way that makes sense both to you and to the participants of the meeting. This pays off in spades for you and your career because you come across looking and sounding professional and prepared. Please don't monopolize the conversation. When discussion ensues, it's protocol to let more senior participants contribute first. So once they've said their piece, you concisely make your points. Don't drone on or feel compelled to speak at all if you don't have anything purposeful to say. As the old adage goes, better to be thoughtful than to speak and remove all doubt. If you go in prepared, this is easier to do than if you are not prepared. Do not make your statements sound like questions. Phrasing your statements as questions invites others to say no, argue, or take credit for your ideas. Speak in declarative sentences, such as, let's do more research on that. It can also make you look weak or indecisive, and neither of these things engenders confidence in you. Try not to misread signals. Try to gauge the needs and mood of those in the room. Listen carefully to what people are saying to discern how receptive they might be to your ideas. You need to make your message relevant to your audience. For example, if everyone's focused on cutting costs and you're angling for a system upgrade, you'll either want to stress how the new software will save money, or you just need to table that request for another day. Don't get intimidated. Unfortunately, some of your coworkers may view meetings as a battleground and themselves as verbal gladiators, sparring for the boss's favor. If you become the victim of a put-down or an accusation, calmly defend yourself. If you need to buy time to think, do so with a question that will make your attacker accountable. For example, Andrew, when did you start thinking, I don't care about our sales results? Never chew gum. The smacking, popping, cracking, and cow-like chewing are annoying. Plus, it's rude and unprofessional. Enough said. Don't keep your cell phone on. You turn it off in restaurants and at movies, or at least you put it in airplane mode. So, turn it off or put it in airplane mode for your meeting. A ringing phone interrupts the presenter and it distracts the audience. Whatever you do, never take a call in the middle of a meeting. Don't wander off topic. Don't hijack the agenda. Stay focused on what you and your team are trying to accomplish. But if you must digress into unrelated areas, make sure it's all right with the others present. A good way to handle important issues not related to the topic at hand is to record them on a flip chart as a parking lot item. Then you can revisit them at a more appropriate time. Don't skip meetings. Sure, you might get more done if you forego a meeting to stay at your desk and do your actual work, but if the meeting was called by someone higher up in the organization, you'll miss an opportunity to make yourself known. Remember, in the end, meetings aren't just about productivity. No, they're about projecting a positive image and most importantly about building professional relationships. Do you have any funny stories about video conference mishaps? Give us a shout out in the comments below and tell us your story. I know some really funny ones too, but probably can't talk about them on here. Now we've talked about in-person meetings, what about video conference calls? Here are 10 things you should never do, and let's have some fun with this. Don't forget to mute your phone. It's a good habit to mute yourself whenever you're not speaking so that other participants don't have to hear any background noise in your space. Background noise might include the sound of you typing, your child yelling your name from the next room, a siren blaring down the street, or any number of other distractions. If you'll only be talking sporadically, get familiar with the mute button and use it whenever someone else has the reins. If you need to talk for most of the call and muting yourself doesn't make as much sense, do your part to eliminate background noise before the call begins. 2, don't forget to shut your door. When you're speaking, if the kids have the TV on in the other room, your spouse is on a different call in the kitchen, and the dog barks, it'll block out the noises if you close the door. 3, don't have your TV or radio on in the background. Cut the outside noise to a minimum because even if you're on mute, you may be unmuting to contribute and it'll help you focus on the call as well. 4, don't forget to look at the surroundings of where you're taking your call. If your place is a mess and you don't want others to see it, then you can blur or use a different background provided in the conference call app. Just click the up button to the right of the camera at the bottom of the screen and it'll take you to the option to change your background. Find a picture online that you like and use it instead of your current surroundings. It's really kind of cool and you can easily find a nice vacation spot or even a more professional office setting. 5, don't underestimate good lighting. And have good lighting if you can. If you use an incandescent lamp in a dimly lit room, you and your surroundings will be dark and yellow. And if you have a ceiling fan light behind your head, you'll be dark and your background will be gleaming white. Have either good natural light or a white light in front of you behind your camera. I did just see a pretty funny video of Alec Baldwin having an interview on Howard Stern in his bathroom because the lighting was best there. Now, speaking of the bathroom, don't forget that if you need to use the bathroom, mute and no video. Actually, let's just use my mom's old rule. Just go to the bathroom before you go, whether it's to church, to the party, out to play, to the store, or your video conference. No one wants to interrupt the fun with a trip to the bathroom, so be prepared and go first. 7, don't wear your pajamas. Make sure you're dressed in the appropriate attire, from the waist up at least. Pajamas and shorty shorts may be fine while you're at home, but if you're in an online meeting they're fine if you're not on an online meeting. Sorry, got my tongue tied. Yeah, One of the unspoken perks of working remotely is that you technically don't have to change out of your sweatpants. But if you're going to be on video calls, your colleagues or clients will be able to see you, at least from the waist up. You can stay in your sweatpants if you must, but dress in normal work attire on the top to maintain the professionalism that everyone expects. It's easy to do this first thing in the morning, even if you don't have any calls already scheduled, because you never know when you might get asked to hop on a call. 8. Don't forget to do a little tutorial ahead and know your software. Did you know there's a little blue hand in the corner to raise your hand in Zoom if you want to say something? The moderator will unmute you when it's your turn to talk. That would be if your moderator knows how to mute all the participants. So test your camera and your microphone ahead of time. This is really important. If you're using new software tool or logging in from a new computer, when you start using video conferencing software, you're often met with a barrage of pop-ups asking you to authorize this and enable that and so on, or it downloads the software. If you haven't done this in advance, then everyone else will be waiting on you to get set up. Then if your mic doesn't work or your camera isn't turned on, they're forced to troubleshoot with you. So save everyone the time and save yourself the embarrassment by doing this ahead of time. 9. Don't forget that everyone can see the chat comments. If you want to send only one person a message via chat, then make sure you click on the down arrow and choose their name so that the message is only seen by them. If you're doing an interview via conference, set up another way to communicate. Maybe a group text message in advance so you can communicate with your team during the interview and not have the interview see it. And last, number 10, don't be too critical. Working remotely is new to many people. Be kind, generous, and have a good laugh. It's going to be a while, folks, while we're still doing this. So we've talked about in-person meetings and video conference calls. So let me give you some bonus tips. There's a few helpful tips about video conferencing etiquette. Do introduce yourself before you start talking. Unless you're incredibly familiar with everyone on the call, like you work together on a daily basis, then introduce yourself at the beginning of the call. This helps with putting faces to names and facilitates remote team bonding. Another bonus tip, if you're on a conference call without the video, you'll really need to introduce yourself even more often. Not everyone will recognize you just by your voice. So it can be helpful to say something like, "This is John, and to that point I think," to clue everyone in which comments are coming from each person. Do warn anyone around that you're going to be on a call. So if you're at home, make sure you let everyone know that you're going to be on a call. Speaking of eliminating background noise, if you work in the same space as other people, you should let them know that you're about to be on a video call. We've all heard horror stories of a significant other walking behind the camera in their underwear or a child running into the room unprompted. And while we're at this may be a good time to close any pets out of the room where you're working. If your pets are anything like mine, a laptop is just an open invitation to come cozy up near the desk. So while everyone appreciates a good pet sighting every now and then, lock Fluffy out if you think he'll be a significant distraction. Then don't start a spontaneous video call without warning. There's a reason people don't answer unscheduled FaceTime calls, and the same logic applies to the workplace. Surprising someone with a video call is the cardinal sin of video etiquette. To avoid this, send a quick chat message or email to offer a heads up and get an explicit okay before you start the video chat. If you can't get an answer, try a phone call first and then switch to video. No one wants to be caught off guard on camera. Don't rely on body language to make your point. To all the "I talk with my hands" people out there, and I do too, yes, you can still use gestures and other body language clues to enhance your message. But these movements are more distracting on a video call than they are in person. So try to keep your movements to a minimum wherever possible. And definitely don't use body language or gestures to make a point that you don't make verbally. For example, if you point to a chart behind you, you should verbally explain which chart you're pointing to. You can't assume that everyone's eyes are glued to the screen, so explain again in words whenever you make a gesture that's especially important. Don't interrupt when someone else is talking. This really should go without saying, as it's just as important in the real world as it is on video calls. But don't interrupt other people while they're talking. Beyond the usual disrespect and confusion, it can trigger on a video call. It could create static or cause the audio to become otherwise distorted. You may accidentally talk over someone if you both start talking at the same time, but correct this as quickly as possible and give the other person the floor. Otherwise, no one can hear you anyway. So it's in your best interest to hold off on interruptions and let one person speak at a time. Don't multitask in the background. Oh, this is one of my pet peeves. Video meetings, like all meetings, are not the time to catch up on email, scroll through social media news feeds, or do any other work that's not relevant to the meeting you're in. It can be tougher to stay focused during a virtual meeting, but it's even more important because it's harder to read the room about what's important, when your opinion is going to be needed, and so on. On video calls, too, it's easier to tell who isn't paying attention. If you're not muted, everyone can hear you typing away in the background. And even if you are, the difference between someone's face when they're staring at an email or a web browser and when they're attentively listening is clear. So don't be this person. Pay attention to the meeting that's in front of you and do the other stuff as soon as it's over. Also, don't forget to turn off the chat when you're done. Finally, make sure you correctly close out of the chat or turn off your camera and your mic when you're done. Most platforms will shut everything out of the meeting space as soon as the meeting host or the first participant closes the window, but not all of them work that way. To maintain your privacy after the call ends, make sure you close out of the call window. One way to troubleshoot this on a Mac and some PCs is to check whether your webcam camera's light is still on. If the indicator light is still glowing, your camera is still on, and you should double check that you left the call correctly. Also, don't use slang or short forms. One of the greatest lessons for communicating with people is to know who your audience is and how they prefer to be addressed. This may take some rounds of trial and error, but it's highly likely your colleagues won't be using much slang and short forms on conference calls. Although it's important to be clear and concise, avoid the IMO, in my opinion, and the BRBs, be right back moments as much as you can. Speaking on a conference call is a different, more professional kind of slang, keeping it brief and to the point to ensure your message is conveyed. Because you aren't typing out what you say and don't have control on the delete button, consider practicing your talking points. Have fun though, because conference calls are ultimately meant to be stress-free and a more convenient and efficient way to communicate with people. Once you make it through your first couple of calls or your first couple of hundred calls, the next couple or the next couple of hundred will be that much more enjoyable. And soon enough, you'll be leading the calls amongst your colleagues. Well, there you have it. As we transition to video calls, hopefully these best practices become more ingrained in everyone's minds over time. By following these tips, your video calls will be even more effective. Are you struggling with stress at work or overloaded workload or trying to get off the hamster wheel that you've been chasing success on? You should check out my blog. There may be some of my blog posts that will really help you. And by the way, the link to my blog is in the description below, so go check it out. Maybe it'll give you some good tips or help you out along the way. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, hit that subscribe button and the bell to get notified when we post new videos so you won't miss any of the great videos coming up. So, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you there.